Oh,
Wait, now we're live. Stop talking until it goes live. Hey,
I
I'm
can
just
talk
kidding,
whenever
you
I want
guys.
to.
Okay, that is true. You've been doing that for years. Good morning, or good morning.
Good morning.
We're having a good time over here
Are
already
we?
tonight. Well, yeah, we are.
Okay.
And yeah, how is everybody tonight? I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys today about. Yes, you were listening, right? You know, what are we talking about tonight?
Something about homes. I don't know.
You know exactly. Well, there's a surprise for you. It's something about homes. Wow, the guy's brilliant. Now we're going to talk about insurance costs. Yes. In fact, this week we're going to talk about insurance. Next week we're going to talk about property taxes. So we're kind of wanting to address both issues of, what buyers are looking at, in addition to just your ordinary, home buying costs. We talked a lot about the housing market and stuff like that, but I also wanted to cover these two things. So we are set to talk about that. First up, guys, though, I really want to hear from you. Pop on and say hello. And I'm very interested to know, I just click on that again. Very interested to know you guys' home insurance premiums and whether or not they've gone up. We were looking ours up just before the live stream. You want to tell them what it was?
It's going up some. I mean,
Yeah. Have you guys filed a claim? And if so, what happened? Because we did have a claim last year. We had it wasn't a huge claim.
Yeah, and I can't say that the premium went up just because of that or not. So, I mean, it has gone up some, but yeah.
Yeah. So we have
auto insurance and that all together. So
come on, you guys.
USAA.
Where's everybody tuning in from? Hop on here and say hello. Come on, there we go. It's Humphrey. Okay. Hey, Humphrey, scared to see what my renewal will be in August. Currently paying $88 a month on new construction. Wow. Okay, wow. That is amazing. Are you wanting to know? We got to tell you guys what we're paying, okay?
But ours includes our auto insurance. And
okay, so this amount includes that?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think so.
It does.
Okay. Well, ours is bundled, guys. So our insurance is bundled between our auto and our home. And of course, we've actually seen it go. We've actually seen our prices go down lately only because our adult kids are getting their own insurance. So no good news on the home insurance front, unfortunately.
You might be right.
So this is what we pay. You guys ready for this? Anybody ready? On our house. Now we have a 1990s house. It was built in 1990, so it's 35 years old. We pay $6,800 a year for our home insurance, which averages out to $566 a month. So Humphrey, it's way worse over on this, over on our side of the screen.
Coverage for $750,000. So
yeah, the coverage is about $750. So very interested to know everybody else what you guys are paying as well. Humphrey's got a very appropriate reaction. Yeah, it's big, and that does not include our car insurance, which is also big because, well, we're paying for some adult drivers, but not all of them. Is that right?
Just one now.
Oh, just one. So yay for us. The empty nest is
almost.
Yeah, and we've got one that's not driving yet, so it'll still go up. Yeah. All right. Well, today I've got a couple articles to read. One is just kind of about how much insurance has gone up, and then another one talks about some tips for how to get your insurance down, to work on that. So let's see here. Let's bring it on up here. And Humphrey, I'd be interested to know if yours has done this as well. It says Texas home insurance premiums up 27% over last 3 years, up 27%. So be interesting to see too, if that's actually what ours has done. And I will say this, Humphrey's right. Sorry, we're going back and forth here, but Humphrey, you're right about the new construction costs less, because every time we close one and I'm looking at their closing disclosure, I'm like, wow, that's a lot less than what we're paying. So definitely new construction is a way to get your lower home insurance. Everything's
same
new,
thing with a car too. I mean,
yeah. So everything's new, so it's less. Okay.
Of course, the higher price is going to make it more though.
How do we know the sale price of any given home? Give me some context there. What do you mean by that, NP? How do we know sale price? Do you mean actual value? Because the sale price will be listed. Let's see here now. Okay, how do we know sale price of any home in DFW? Give me a little bit more context still, because I don't know if you're asking like value, like what is it actually worth? And here it goes. Okay, I still need more help. I still need a little more help, NP, because you're just saying, you're saying yes. Do you mean like what a house is worth?
Like if we are looking at what it's listed for, what if it's ready to sell and what the sales price is?
Not list price, actual price paid by the purchaser.
Oh, what do you?
Oh, okay.
You may not. Texas is a non-disclosure state, so you may not know. It's the only place it will be disclosed is on the if the home was listed on MLS when it was sold, it has to be disclosed there. But that's the only place.
And P, what is the guarantee that actual price paid by purchaser enter into MLS? That is a great question. So what is the guarantee that the actual price paid by the purchaser? So in other words, there's a realtor involved because it's on the MLS, and he's saying, what is that guarantee?
Well, they are required. There's MLS rules for that. So
I mean, no, that's a great question, because we do have to, like within 2 days when a property closes, you have to change the status and record the final price. But in terms of whether or not somebody could lie about it, I mean, it'd be a realtor.
I think they would get caught, and there's pretty good fines for that. So.
Yeah, and the MLS has a lot of rules, a lot of enforcement power, and so I mean, it's possible, that they could steal, but. So you on your question here, you are in the blind unless you're a licensed realtor or appraiser. Okay, Texas is a non-disclosure state, and you're just not going to be. You can't see those sales; they're not going to be available.
Sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't.
Yeah, but overall, you've got to be licensed in some way. Let's see. And Rhonda says, hello, everyone. Hello, Rhonda. All right, Rhonda, give us the scoop on your home insurance. We were talking about how ours is $566 a month. It went up in last February, you said?
Yeah, that's when the renewal is.
Yeah, so last time it renewed, it went up. Interested to know. Interested to know from you as well. How can we trust Redfin estimate? They claim they have access to MLS, but what is Feb guarantee that MLS has actual purchase price?
Because it's actual, the MLS and Redfin are connected. It actually takes the data from there. That's the only way it gets it.
Yeah.
It's not like they go and read it and then write it. It's connected, and there's a term for the database that they connect to. They have to pay for that. So,
well, and if you're talking about sold listings here in Texas, they can't show the closed sales. But if it is, in a disclosure state, an open disclosure state, they can. That Redfin could actually.
If it's connected to MLS,
if it's connected, well, but again, in Texas, you're not allowed to disclose that. None of them can disclose it. It's a non-disclosure state, so no one can disclose it. So the only way you're going to see it in Texas, and there's I think 12 total states that are non-disclosure states. So by and large, most are going to disclose it for the most part. And so I think that surprises a lot of people when they move to Texas. They're like, why can't I just go on and see what they're sold for? It's because Texas is non-disclosure. All right, let's see here now. Best life ever. Are more people choosing to opt for inventory instead of building from the ground up because it is typically cheaper? Also, are builders catching on to this? That's a great question. We seem to get a fair share of each.
Yeah.
I mean, you're dead on that they are cheaper. Inventory homes are definitely going to get a better deal on them. And especially if the home is ready, you will.
Depends on when you catch the inventory.
Yeah, that is true too. If it's an inventory home and not ready for another 4 months, you're not going to get it as much cheaper, but you just kind of got to wait. But that's a good question.
And some people are just willing to pay for the extra options to make it the way they want it to.
I would say that we still do about the same amount. Yeah. We do plenty of new builds as well as plenty of inventory homes. Let's see here now. Okay, NP. Okay, 75070 zip code, zone 2, Frisco ISD, new construction. What is the fair SFT price? You're talking about square foot, price by square foot. In answer to your question, NP,
that can range.
It doesn't go by zip code. First of all, it goes by community, and then you also have a whole set of criteria. So I think where you're getting that from, I think like Zillow's estimate, maybe they do it by the zip code. That's not the accurate way to do it.
Zillow's the one I would trust the least.
Honestly, yeah. They're so far off. I would never, this is like a home purchase you're talking about. You don't want to trust something like Zillow. You want to get the real data. Okay, Amelia. Hi, Amelia. Ours went to another $700 a year. Wow. That is a big increase. $700 a year. Insurance. Yeah. By Amelia. And I know ours, started out lower, when we first bought our house, but it has definitely crept up over the years. Let's see here now. Rhonda says, renting here in Oklahoma right now, have been hearing stories on how bad home insurance has gotten. That's what I really want to hear from people is, what are their thoughts on the home insurance, and are your rates going up as well? I'm also curious if anyone has actually had their policies canceled, because that has happened in other states.
Yeah.
So let's see here now. Amelia says, I have a funny website that shows a lot of Texas property. You have to share it with us. So Zestimate and Redfin estimates, we cannot rely on them in Texas. That is absolutely correct. Do not rely on them. Your home purchase is too serious, and it's too...
Sometimes they're right, but a lot they're not.
A lot of times they're not.
Yeah.
And the reason why is they don't narrow the filter like they should. And also because they can't see the inside of the home. They don't know the inside of each home.
They're only going by what pictures they can get. So.
Yeah, you're talking about AI. It's not going to be accurate. So no way would I make a purchasing decision based on Zestimate or Redfin. So that's just me. Okay. Which estimate is more accurate of near accurate? The market analysis should be completed by an experienced realtor or by an appraiser.
Yeah.
So an appraiser is going to give you the most detailed, very minute, very mathematical type of result, if that's what you mean. But I don't know if you're asking me Zestimate or Redfin. I don't know if that's what you meant, NP. But I would say, if that's what you're asking, I would say neither. I don't think either one of them are accurate, in all honesty. I wouldn't. All right, Jamar. Wow, everybody's jumping on. I love this. Hello, have a rental in Houston that was bought in 2022 as new construction. Since then, the premium has doubled. Wow. And that's a hazard policy. That's not even a full homeowners policy.
The windstorm coverage and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Too.
Yeah, I remember, honestly, I remember when I was paying like $30 per house for insurance per month on our rentals. So, okay. Yes, that's what he meant. Okay. So NP was saying that he meant Zestimate and Redfin. And, if in other states, you might be able to actually see the data. It's not disclosed. Those might be accurate. It's just in here, they're operating as blind as any other unlicensed person.
Oh, and they just have different algorithms. And I'd say I haven't paid as much attention to Redfin, to be honest, but from Zillow, their algorithms just don't make sense sometimes. A lot of times they just do not make sense.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And I would say that when I do a market analysis, my analysis has never yet agreed with a Zestimate or a Redfin estimate. I've never had them actually agree. Okay. And that was without flood insurance and not being in flood zone. Wow. That is something. I'm going to say though, Jamar, that we're still the winners here. Ours is $566 a month. So somebody get on here and comment and tell us you're paying more than that so that we don't feel as bad. We did have a claim last April of 2024, but still, $566 a month. Jump in on the comments. Tell us if you can beat that. I'm very interested to know.
You need to know the age of the home too. So
yes. Ours admittedly is a 1990. So, all right, back to our article until then. So we know home insurance premiums have gone up 27% over the last 3 years. The Dallas Metro, so this is specific to Dallas, and then the state of Texas, so the state as well. Let's see here now. Rank near the top of the country for average home insurance premiums, thanks in part to the rise in extreme weather events. We were actually talking about this before we started as to whether or not we see any change in the weather. And honestly, we really haven't. No. It was interesting that article talked about that, and maybe they're seeing that in other areas. To us, it's just Dallas is just Dallas. Like the weather hasn't really, we've not really seen.
Sometimes you get a lot, sometimes you don't. So just
I mean, honestly, like sometimes you have these extremely wet, springs like we did last year, and then this year not so much. I I don't know. So we personally have not seen that, but that's what this article says. Anyway, thanks in part to the rise in extreme weather events, the Dallas metro area reported average premiums of nearly $4,900. That's the 9th highest. Oh my goodness, if that's the 9th highest, ours is really bad. Among the country's 50 largest metro areas. That's metro. Though. Yeah, and that's the average. Since 2021, premiums have increased by nearly $1,200 or 32%. One of the reasons behind this sharp premium hike is due to the rise of extreme weather events such as tornadoes, hail, and severe winds and storms. Sharon Cornelissen, hope I read that right, the foundation's director of housing, said in a statement. And again, honestly, guys, we haven't seen that in Texas. We really have not noticed any real big changes here, but rising premiums are also due. And I think this is more our issue. Rising premiums are also due to the rising costs of construction and building materials and weak regulatory oversight by state insurance commissioners. While they are supposed to keep an eye out for consumers, they have allowed price hike after price hike with little oversight. And I do want to comment on that for a minute because when I was reading, I was doing other research about this. One of the things I read was that we aren't seeing policy cancellations here. And it's because even though Texas is supposed to oversee it, they keep approving hikes.
Right.
And so like if they were not approving hikes, we'd probably see more policy cancellations, but our policies aren't getting canceled, but the rates are all going up. So let's see here now. Okay. Texas's 27% increase. So now we're on Texas, so we're state, was tied for the 16th largest in the country over the 3-year period. Utah, Illinois, and Arizona topped the list. That's interesting. Dallas's, so now we're back on to Dallas. Dallas's 32% increase was tied for 14th highest. Wow. Salt Lake City. 62%. New Orleans and Jacksonville, Phoenix.
I could see New Orleans. Yeah.
I could see that too. Yeah. Topped the list.
Jacksonville too. I could see that too. Jacksonville.
The Consumer Federation analyzed data provided by Quadrant Information Services. In its report, averages were weighed by state-level insurance company market share and the number of homeowners in each zip code. All right, now on to more practical stuff. Very interested if you guys have heard of any of these things, but first let me kind of chime in here on Syed's comment. I was quoted $3,500 plus on a brand new 3,960 square foot build in Salina. Absolutely crazy. My last home was a Prosper 4,000 square foot brand new build. I got insured on initially for $1,200. Wow. Yeah, that's, oh my goodness. Yeah. That is a huge increase. What percentage of increase is that? Do the math. From 1,200 to 3,500.
It's a bunch.
It's a bunch. That's his mathematical response, guys. Wow. That's, all I'm saying is that we're still beating you, Syed, because ours is $6,800 a year. So but still, that is crazy. Yeah, that is crazy. Okay. Now, where was I? Yes, we were going to read about the different ways. I'm very interested to know if any of you guys have used these. 10 tips for lowering, and you'll have to tell me if we're using them. 10 tips for lowering your home insurance premium. With inflation and interest rates straining household budgets in 2025, homeowners are searching for ways to cut expenses. One often overlooked opportunity for savings is your home insurance premium. After all, homeowners' insurance costs have been climbing nationwide, so reducing yours could have a big impact on your budget. Sure could. All right, 10 tips for lowering your home insurance premium. Home insurance protects your house, belongings, and liability against unexpected losses. While this coverage is important, your premiums also often include costs you can control or reduce based on your needs. And by the way, hopefully you guys know, I'm sure you do, but if it's a rental, you're covering only the dwelling. Right. And so you're going to have a completely different type of policy than when you actually live there. All right, let's see here now. Let's see. Number 1, check your home value. Sometimes the value of your home plus the inflation guard outpaces actual inflation and your home can be overvalued, says Ashley Trent, personal lines director and co-founder of Tower Street Insurance. Trent encourages homeowners to check their home replacement cost every 5 to 7 years to ensure they're not overpaying. So that is interesting. She says check the value of your home, but it's really more about rebuild value.
So yeah, there's a difference. So yeah, it could be value. That's what a buyer is willing to pay. That's market value. But then there's rebuild value. That's gonna be what cost, material costs, and things like that are. So yeah.
And to me, that's why these costs have gone up so much, is because when you're talking about rebuild cost, and then you have all this inflation in 2021 and all these, costs going up.
They may be partly basing it on market value and stuff too, though, but it's hard to say.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here now. Okay. So check your home value first way. Number 2, customize your other structures coverage limit. Other structures coverage protects everything on your property except your main house, such as sheds, fences, and detached garages. So you want to check that coverage. So I guess that's like a separate line item on what you have. So like, for example, we have a shed and a pool. So those would be the other, the other structures. And we've decks. Yeah, that's true. Okay, interesting. All right. So that's reason number 2. If you live on a small lot or have a large home with minimal other structures, you could look to decrease that limit. I could see that really coming into play, like with new construction, where you don't have all that extra build. Really, you've just got the dwelling. So that's something I would say for new construction. And that may be a reason also why new construction, among many others.
Partly.
I mean, there's so many reasons why new construction is going to be more affordable, but that could be a reason as well. So for sure, if you've got new construction, to check on that, on your other structures coverage. Okay. However, Greg Martin, president of Think Safe Insurance, notes that while some carriers allow adjustments to match your needs, others have fixed percentages. All right. Ask for discounts. We did this, didn't we? This is one of the simplest ways to save on your home insurance. Many insurers offer discounts that you might not know about, such as deals for retirees, non-smokers, or new home buyers. Interesting. I did not even know that. You might also qualify for reduced rates if you pay your premium annually instead of monthly and set up automatic payments. So tell me, that
would make a difference. Yeah.
So being a retiree.
I don't know about that, but
I mean, that is interesting. Non-smoker, new home buyer. I mean, those are all things I didn't know that you could ask for the discount on those. That's very interesting, guys. Hope you're writing this down because that is good stuff. Non-smoker, new home buyer, see if you can get those reduced rates. That's excellent. All right, let's see here now. Okay. Invest in loss prevention measures. The best claim is one that never happens. So take precautions to limit your loss exposure, Trent says. Some insurance discounts come from built-in features such as hail-resistant shingles or interior sprinkler systems. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I see that more and more level 4 shingles. They're supposed to be hail resistant.
The hail resistant, yeah.
See that more. And insurance companies love metal roofs because they're even more hail resistant. So
yeah, and you know, back in the day before the law changed, I used to really recommend, I'd be like, don't do the really expensive roof shingle because it was just almost a given that you could get your roof replaced within a certain period of years and it wouldn't cost you anything out of pocket.
Right.
Then they went in and they changed the law here in Texas to where you have to pay your deductible. It used to be roofers would discount the deductible. And so literally you could get like a new roof for nothing from the insurance company. But sadly, those days are no more. That was changed. So, okay, let's see. Next one. Okay, but you can still qualify for savings on an existing home. Installing burglar alarms, fire monitoring systems, and automatic water shutoff devices are among the most cost-effective upgrades. I know when it was a while ago, but I remember there was some kind of discount just for having a security system.
Yeah.
And it ends up that it was enough of a discount that the security system ended up, being so, almost free if you look at it that way, that you could get it just for having that. So interesting. But there's some of these that I didn't even know, like the fire monitoring systems. Did not know about that one. Interesting. Okay. These lower the chances of filing claims which insurers appreciate, you think, and benefit you with lower rates, says Brent Thurman, owner of Keystone Insurance. One thing I'd really love to hear from you guys is if you've seen like a cause and effect relationship between when you file a claim and do your rates automatically go up. Dale was saying ours did go up, but he couldn't tell if that was why. Last April, we had a water issue and had to file a claim and replace a bunch of flooring and drywall repair and all that. And then sure enough, our policy went up the following year. We just don't know specifically whether that was related to auto insurance or if it was specific to the claim. But I would be interested to know you guys' experience as well as have you filed a claim? Have any of you ever filed a claim? We've filed numerous over the years. And you know, they always seem to be related to water for us for some reason. We get a lot of water related claims. Some kind of weird leak happens here or there. Like one time years ago, our refrigerator, the water feature on our refrigerator got stuck on and it ran all night. And so when we got up in the morning, there was water everywhere. It was like this really weird, random thing to have happen, but it was water related. Just seems to be our luck. Okay, let's see here now. Insurance companies, protect your claims history. Insurance companies focus more on how often you file claims than how much they pay out. Yeah. Very interesting. Okay. Most carriers will not offer a quote to people with 3 or more claims within 5 years. Wow, that is something. So, you know, if you're going to do a claim, make sure it's a big one. If it's just a small damage, just don't even file on it. If
well, nowadays, it makes that sense anyway, because they just don't cover near. They're a lot more strict now. So.
Yeah, and I did want to tell you guys about that. A very different experience. Insurance, the way it works has changed as well. I remember like the refrigerator incident. That was back in like 2004, 2005. We had State Farm then. The adjuster came to our house, got out his checkbook and wrote a check right then. Like literally, I couldn't believe it. I was like, really? He talked about everything, added it all up and said, here's a check. Let me know, you know, if anything else goes wrong and we'll, you know, do more. To me, I mean, that was pretty, I was like, wow, they come to your house, they write you a check right on the spot. Boom, here you go. So that was 2004. In 2024, so 20 years later, we filed a claim and we're using USAA now, and it was a nightmare. It was horrible. And you know, this is
usually
not
USAA has been really good, but this time they weren't.
I mean, and this is not our first rodeo. We have filed claims over the years, and they were terrible. To the extent that I'm not kidding you, we had to hire a public insurance adjuster to handle it for us, because we were just like, we don't have the time for this nonsense. They kept asking all these questions and just being so difficult and unresponsive. At one point I was like, man, I'm filing with them, you know, on the Better Business Bureau. And then I looked onto the Better Business Bureau and I was like, they're not going to even care because they've got like 1,000 complaints on here. So it's not going to make any difference to them. But yeah, so the way they take care of you, that was our experience. I think it was very illuminating in 2024 to see, man, this has completely changed the way these insurance companies deal with you, because it was like they just did not want to pay for anything. And again, we knew what we were doing, not our first rodeo when it comes to insurance. Okay. All right. She suggests handling small losses yourself to keep them off record, as filing minor claims can cost more in premium increases than paying out of pocket. And I agree. Very true. Number 6. All right. This one is kind of risky, but increase your deductible. What do you guys think about that? A higher deductible typically means lower premiums, with $1,000 to $2,500 being most cost effective, according to Martin. Balance is crucial when picking a deductible, however. You want to choose an amount that saves you money up front, but won't be too expensive if disaster strikes and you need to make a claim. Now I know we were talking about this earlier. What did you say our
1% and then 2,000 for Helen, when it's about average.
Okay. So 1% deductible on everything else, and then 2,000.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have, by the way, I would be hard pressed to meet anybody in Texas or in the Dallas area that hasn't had some kind of wind and storm damage claim. And we had our roof replaced in 2013, 2014.
Yeah, something like that.
And since then, we have the roofers come to our house all the time saying, can we inspect your roof? And you could probably do an insurance claim. And then they get up there and they're like, yeah, there is some damage. So that is one thing about Texas. You are going to still have to pay, or DFW. You are going to still have to pay for your deductible, but the roofers are very, very proactive and they will come knock on your door after a hailstorm.
Yeah.
And every year we have hail of some sort. Sometimes it's small. You agree?
I would say we have hail. Well, we get, in our area, we don't get that much hail.
I feel like we get at least some, not necessarily the damaging kind. But I do feel like we get, well, for sure, there's always hail in the area every year. I mean, what you hear about Dallas weather and thunderstorms, it's all accurate. You do have it. You do have tornadoes. You do get the severe weather here. We've never personally had a tornado in our neighborhood, but we've had really high, like, what do they call those? Straight winds?
Straight line winds.
Straight line winds.
We've only had that
a couple times. Yeah, a couple times. Lost some trees. Okay, let me see here. Where are we? Bundle policies. I think a lot of people know about this. While most people know about bundling home and auto insurance, some carriers give additional discounts for having a valuable articles policy and an umbrella excess liability policy, explains Trump. Now, we have that, don't we? Pretty sure that we have that. I think that's something that people have generally heard of is that idea of bundling your policy. Let's see, where were we? Okay. Ask your agent about all available bundling options to maximize your savings. All right, contact an independent agent. Instead of calling insurance companies yourself, let an independent agent do the work. Absolutely. I completely agree with this. These agents represent your interest in the insurance market, and some carriers only offer rates through independent agents anyway. Trent says they can access exclusive markets, compare dozens of policies at once, and find discounts you might miss. Did you know that?
Yep. I mean, I know they do that. Yeah.
Yeah. We've never done that though, right? We've always just used
did it
USAA.
with our insurance. I mean, with our rentals, but yeah.
That's true. We did do that with our rentals. That's a very good point. But with our own, we just use USAA. Okay. Let me see. Where were we? We're almost through here. Improve your credit rating. That's interesting. Many carriers closely tie their rates to a person's IBS, insurance bureau score, or financial credit rating, Trent explains. I think that's something personally that you'd want to be proactive with. If you know you've improved your credit or it's gone way up, I think that'd be a reason to look into that and say, hey, well, will you adjust for this? Look, my credit score's over 800 now. Can I get any kind of adjustment for that? That's something for sure I would think you'd want to be proactive with. Okay. And number 10, be mindful of liability risks. Swimming pools, trampolines, and playground equipment are fun for families, but increase insurance premiums due to their accident risk. Insurance companies consider these attractive nuisances because they may draw people to your home and lead to injury claims. Consider this added cost when deciding whether to install such features on your property. Very interesting. What do you guys think? I'm very interested to know what everybody thinks about these. Are you doing them? Are these new? Are they something that you might want to try out? I don't know. I know, fun fact, the first year we installed a pool here, we have an above ground pool, a tree fell on it the first year. Like we'd only had it a few months and a tree fell on it and knocked down one of the sides, got a big dent in it. And I was like, really? It's only been here like a few months. That happened. Anyway, interesting stuff, guys. I'm interested in your feedback on what your thoughts are. What do you pay for your insurance? Have you filed a claim? What's your experience been? And yeah, I would say weather-wise, they talk about weather change and stuff. And I would say I don't really see that happening. Like I haven't seen any increase or decrease in the weather. It's more just in general, Texas weather, Dallas weather is unpredictable.
It can be, because it comes from all over the place. So it's
can
change fast, or it can be very monotonous.
So. Well, guys, if we don't get any more comments, we're going to log off from here.
And we'll go read about our premium and eat
I guess
dinner.
so. It's kind of got my interest up. Like I want to go, listen, do you know what our latest credit score is? You need to be lowering our policy. We have good credit. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, inspiring on what I want to ask. All right. Best Life Ever says, is American Legend considered a higher quality than Highland? I visited one of their models and noticed the floors were noticeably unlevel upstairs, and one of the outlets was lifting off the wall. I consider them to be on a fairly level playing field. And I've seen some very nice American Legend, but it sounds like the one you're going at, not so much.
Of recent, I've been seeing more better Highland homes, but in general, I'd say they're fairly close. But I like the way, my personal opinion, I like the way Highland homes look better, but yeah.
You know, and the biggest issue that plagues new construction is how micro-local it is. And if you don't have good middle management, you can have a fantastic builder, fantastic product, and have horrible quality on a home.
Check local reviews.
Google reviews are huge. And it's amazing. I hear other YouTube videos saying, oh, don't even pay attention to them. I'm sorry, guys. That's our dogs. But I don't know. I definitely put a lot of stock into them because of how micro-local insurance, or how micro-local each of those companies are. Now you tell them what you've said about Highland, because I know I've
said a lot of things about Highland.
Okay, but in this issue of being micro-local.
Well, I had 3 different clients building homes with Highland. They were all very good. I mean, so they've all done very well. I would say, I mean, there were a couple things and that may be a little bit different, but overall they've been, great quality. They're very detailed minded. They really work with the buyer, try to help them understand, prepare them through the whole process and everything. So maybe partly, I mean, one of the things, Highland is a little bit different from a lot of builders. They're actually employee owned. So they're a little bit different.
Is interesting. So, that will make a difference. So I know he's come home several times saying, wow, I've been impressed with Highland across communities. Because that's one thing we see a lot of is inconsistent.
More consistent, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's really good to see with Highland that there's consistency there.
The other one I'd say I've seen that with is Normandy as well too. But Normandy's a higher end home. So
yeah. We're real big fans of Normandy. We've been so impressed with every home that we've seen built with them. And then there's some builders that you've got some builders that are consistently good, which is what we've seen with Highland. And then we've got some builders that we've had the experiences that are consistently bad. And then you have this middle ground of ones that are mixed. It literally depends on the community. It depends on the quality of the people they hire. And my observation is that they do seem to tend to hire their better talent. They're more experienced in your more expensive communities. And so I've noticed that correlation as well. I just finished a video where I'm planning out reviews of the last 5 builders that we've closed with. And so we've talked about this a lot. I was like, tell me more about your experience with Highland, because it's been really good. And also with Normandy. Consistently bad. I would say we've closed a lot of grand homes, and most of them have been bad experiences.
The homes were good. It's just the service, the customer service part of it. So and communication with grand is difficult, and yet it's beautiful architecture, absolutely beautiful designs, very breathtaking. But I would say that's one that I would have to say, if I were going to say consistency wise, it's exactly what you did. We just negotiated one that was not pretty because the communication was so bad. We ultimately got our buyer what the price they wanted, but it was difficult. A lot of I don't know. But at the same time, we have had one recently that was very good. They communicated with us, all over on Mother's Day while we were negotiating. They were able to, which we had to give up Mother's Day too for it, but they did too. All right. Humphrey says Lennar seems to become worse and worse. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, that does not surprise me. I try not to even look at them.
I know. I'm like, they're so unethical in so many ways, just different areas. I don't know if unethical is necessarily the right word, but there's just so many areas that I'm like, that's really taking advantage of a buyer there. If a buyer doesn't have a realtor, they're not going to know. if a buyer doesn't have a good realtor, they're not even going to realize that they're being taken advantage of here, that this is not actually the way it's supposed to work. All right, you guys. Well, if there's no more comments on that, we are going to sign off for the evening. It was good to catch up with you guys again. Love our Tuesday nights. Look forward to them each week. Look forward to chatting with you guys. Hope this was helpful. Let us know if you're watching this after it's live. Let us know if this is helpful, all this information on insurance. If you have any other questions, let us know in the comments, and I will get some answers for you there as well. So, but yeah, for now, I guess we will log off and go have some dinner. Sound like a plan? Oh, okay. And Rhonda says, have a good evening. You too, Rhonda. Hope you have a great evening as well. Everybody have a good evening out there. And we will see you again next week. Next week, we are talking about property taxes and the legislation that's going through. So we're going to have some good news when it comes to the property taxes. Yes, hopefully. I really think we're going to see it. So definitely tune in next week. We're talking about the changes in the property taxes, and it is good news. So till then, we will talk to you guys. Have a good week, and we'll see you then.
See you later.
All right. Bye-bye.